How much is the 4% rule actually costing you? All right. So we're going to have this blind adherence to the 4% rule to have a successful retirement plan. So let's dive into this here. And we're just using David and Sally Sample. All right. David and Sally Sample. And they live in what state? I forgot. They live in Massachusetts. I don't know why I got Massachusetts, but we're going with it. All right. David and Sally Sample. We're going to go to their net worth. And we're going to say they got $1 million. 1.073 million bucks. And then let's just actually get rid of this real quick. Hold on a second. $1 million. And their house is paid for. All right. So we go to goals. We need $3,100 a month as income. $3,100 a month. Why do I do that? Because, and we have no, just hear me out. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here for just a second. So we go to here, cash flows. We're going to spend about 4% a year off that $1 million. 4% a year. With taxes, $3,100 a month plus taxes is about $40,000 a year. We're going to adjust that with a 3% inflation, right, each and every year, until we hit 75, and then our expenses are going to drop. Oh, is it 80? No, 75. Yeah, right here. Are going to drop by 10% right there. All right, so you can see our expenses drop. So we're basically going up each and every year with inflation, each and every year with inflation. Then at 75, it drops by 10%. That's reality. And then we hit 85, it drops again, another 10%. So 85 would drop another 10%. All right, so we're taking 4% a year off. That's what we're doing. That's our initial starting point where it says 40,000. We're adjusting that with inflation each and every year. Our expenditures are going to grow with inflation. Then they're going to drop by 10% when we're 75. Grow with each and every year with inflation. Then they're going to drop by another 10% when we're 85. And I think we have both of them live until they're 90. Yeah, so we're going to have basically, what is that, 25 years of retirement. We're going to put our portfolio $1 million in a balanced portfolio. Come here. Getting 5.3% rate of return with a 10.2% standard deviation, right? And so we're going to say, okay, what's the likelihood that we run out of money? We're going to hit retirement, and 63% of the time we have money when we die. Let me just see if I got a text from my wife, and not a text from my wife. Okay, so 63% is when we run out of we have money. 63% of the time we did not run out of money. Well, how come that's not 4%? How come 4% is 100%? Because the 4% looks at historical rates of return. That's crazy, in my opinion, to look at historical rates of return. This is a 4% using proposed rate of return, which is much lower probability, much lower rates of return on stocks, and particularly with a similar standard deviation. All right. So everyone who gets like the 4% rule, that's historical rates of return. You're never going to see that historical rates of return again. You just won't, man. I don't know why this is so hard. People say, oh, that 4% rule, it works. It worked that one time that Bengen did it. That's it. But you're never going to see those same numbers back to back to back. You're never going to see a 73, 74. You're never going to see an 82 to 99. You're never going to see an 0, 01, 02. You'll never see a 07, 08, 09. You'll never see from 2009 to freaking 2024 or 23. You're never going to see this again. Doesn't mean you won't see anything similar, but you'll never see that specificity, whatever it is, specific returns. Anyway, so I just want to point out, so we're leaving $100,000 at death, and you'll see right here. This is our green arrow, colorblind too. I'm deaf, colorblind, and I'm getting ugly. And you can see right here, dark blue, that's our median liquid net worth. Median liquid net worth, you can see is dropping. And the median, we still have $122,000 at the date of death. In 25 years. You see right there, 25% of the time we ran out of money. 25% of the time we had at least $439,000. That's in today's dollars. You can see right there, 5% of the time we had over 1.1 million. Now those are the outliers, these ones right here. But right there, 25% of the time we ran out of money when we were 87 years old. All right. So, but we still had our median liquid net worth at 87 was $214,000. Now we're 87 years old. We got $214,000 in a house that's paid for. Should you have quit at this stage right here because you only have a 61%, 63% probability? All right, so let's have you working longer. We're going to say, we have David making $50,000 a year. We're going to have him continue to work. All right, so $50,000 a year, continue to work. How many years does he have to work to get up to a better position from 63%? Remember, 85% is a sweet spot. Anything under 80 means you might need to adjust You probably will need to adjust at some point. Anything above 90 means you're not spending enough or you're working too long. So now we got an 81% probability of success. So that's a lot more closer to what we'd like to see, 85%. But that meant he had to work another 1, 2, 3, basically 3.5 more years at $50,000. So $50,000, he's got $10,000 of taxes because he got to pay the state of Massachusetts. He's got to pay FICA tax, right there, federal. Where's the FICA tax? 1 second. I'm self-employed, so here we just got to change the tax. So now he's got to pay $8,000 of taxes, $2,000 to the feds, $2,000 to the state, $4,000 to the FICA. All right, so he's paying $7,900 a year in taxes. He's making $50,000 a year. His total expenses are still $3,100 a month. So he's basically spending $45,000 a year. Not all of his, and he's saving some money too. So he's putting $4,800 into his savings account, whatnot. All right, so now we go back to analysis, and now he's at what, 81%? What's the difference between these two here? Hold on a second. So he's at 81% probability of success right there, and you can see the confidence is he doesn't even come close to run out of money. I mean, you could say 5% of the time he runs out of money, but not even until 25% of the time he doesn't run out of money until he's, ever. So again, 19% of the time he runs out of money. That's pretty favorable in my opinion. And it's not even close. So even when he's at 84 years old, he still has, even the lowest range there, it's 5% of the time he still got $33,000. All right, and that's when he's in his mid 80s. All right, so the point being is, how long did that take? It took 3.5 years of him working to have a better Monte Carlo. I mean, just, is that worth it? Is that worth it? And that's at a 4% rule with the numbers I use, which are very conservative. If we use historical rates, it wouldn't be nearly as bad, but I just don't understand why anyone uses historical rates of return. So that's how much the 4% rule costs you. It costs you basically 3.5 years of work, of labor. I mean, how many people actually survive until they're 90? The vast majority don't, man. They don't survive until they're 90. So this is my thing. Again, I talked to a guy yesterday. He loves his job. He's working until he's 70. More power to him. But look, I just want to point this out. With a confidence right here, you're losing these years when you're young and dumb, and you're said you're going to have money over here. Why would you do that? Because one's a 61% probability, one's a 83% probability. Okay, well, at 61%, all it says is 61% of the time you still had money, and the only times you don't have money is way out there. So if you're really running up against a buzzsaw, you just adjust your belt, man. Tighten your belt. It seems obvious to me. That's how much the 4% rule has cost you. These people live by the 4% rule as if it's gospel truth. Man, love your thoughts. And again, I'm using very conservative numbers here. Very conservative. 5.3% rate of return with a 10.5% standard deviation, I think is what I said. Yeah, right there. So what that simply means is on any given year, you could be down 25% on your portfolio, which is worse than 2008. Now, life could happen, but we're running that number as of such. So that 4% rule is costing you 3.5 years of your life to have fun with your wife while you're still both alive and young enough to enjoy it. Love your thoughts. God bless. Don't forget, subscribe. See ya.